So, Jeff had asked me if I was going to do a lecture about why I was having such a hard time. This is similar to that hard time. The Cloaca by Cloaca, Montague, January 2010. First off, I'd like to start by acknowledging that this being the 25th show of the second year anniversary of the Montague Phantom Brain Exchange and the beginning of the third season of this series, this is the first time that I, Cloaca curator and moderator, have taken it upon myself to seize this here podium and discuss some little discussed subject of interest to me. It has taken me 2 years to consider such a project, and for good reason, because as a dilettante of dilettantes, an enthusiast of enthusiasts, I have nary a deep knowledge of any particular area, but a vast enthusiasm for many subjects of which I have little or no expertise. Furthermore, I am blinded by the strong encouragement that I've been giving to others to take this podium and defend their theses without considering what, should the situation arise, what I would have to offer this congregation in the form of a talk. This is difficult. First couple of things I'd like to do is just establish a few things about the Phantom Brain Exchange that have been chewing away at me and others. Number one, fact. The village we are in right now, this is Turner's Falls. This is part of 5 small villages that make up Montague. As it says, 5 fingers make 1 hand. This is something that you should just be aware of as a kind of contextual thing. 2, fact. Phantom brains are real. They are real in that they are a cosmological explanation, a creation joke that we and the world we are aware of are all fabricated imaginings of disembodied phantom brains floating in space. These are not actual physical brains, but amorphous brain-like entities that think in a soup of nothingness. From here, there are endless metaphoric and discursive possibilities to be played with or ignored, and like ghost appendages, feeling only the memory of the limb as if it were never removed, an introduced idea can hang over the air in this space like a fart or a simmering clam chowder. Fact 2, there's no such thing as a brain exchange. You guys know that, but a lot of you sort of abbreviate it because it's hard to say Phantom Brain Exchange. But when you say I'm going to the brain exchange, I don't know what you're talking about. I've said this multiple times. It's okay, but I thought I'd clear that up. Oh boy. I also have a point about, and this is fact number 4, that fake knowledge should be shared in the same way, an experience of these performance rituals that we've been witnessing, cinema, performance, what have you. Sometimes the presenters have actually known what they're talking about. That is good. Other times, they don't know what they're talking about. Equally as good. It's all good. Fact 5, as a dilettante, my ass has always been half on the can, half off, depending on your thinking. The eggs that are frequently discharged, alongside unpleasant odors and the choicest of fertilizers. And I've been wanting to make this debris hit the mark, so I am planting myself squarely on the seat these days. And this is to answer Jeff's question about things. And then I'm scaling back the Phantom Brain Exchange to just a quarterly event. It's just gonna happen every 4 months. It'll be good. The next show will be in April. That's good. That's good. Now let me take a sip of water.
I can't wait that long.
You can wait. As you can tell, I've been sick, which is why I'm wearing this mask.
Judah.
I had drawings for this, but I've forgotten them in the rush of excitement that is this discussion. So now let me cross some rickety bridges of logic and follow bring you along to one of my favorite organs, which is the cloaca. My research assistant and I, the lovely Fafner, in researching for this lecture, this talk, we walked down the street to the Carnegie Library and selected 3 books at random to be worked into the fabric, as well as, are you taking notes, Mike? Good. And we've also, we've pulled things from our personal library as well as some items from the internet, which, as you guys probably know, is a great source of information. The world we live in is a mistake, a clumsy parody. Mirrors and fatherhood, because they multiply and confirm the parody, are abominations. Revulsion is the cardinal value. 2 ways may lead us there: abstinence or the orgy, excess of the flesh or its denial. Consider the following. Where'd my fucking paper go? Here we go. This would have been a lot more impressive if I had an overhead projector, which is broken, and I didn't get to do so. Yeah. Consider the following. Some of the sturdiest of critters combine their workflow. Sometimes out of laziness, sometimes out of convenience, and other times it just turns out to be the result of a centuries-old improvisation of evolution. For most of us, we have few holes to choose from. Their functions are fixed and predetermined, but our choices are limitless. The holes I'm referring to tend to all be very focused in their singular functions. Inhale, exhale, eating, spitting, ejaculating, sneezing, and so on and so forth. And we can put things in them, and we can take things out. Pool, skee-ball, golf, table tennis, football, high-lie, hacky sack, folding tennis, cable ball, polo, jousting, and wrestling all have some form of a hole whereby the player must roundly aim for his goal. The goal of the cloaca, as it turns out, is a multi-purpose hole-in-one, a oneie. A fine little doodad from the tuchus of a cute birdie, or the tube end of a garden variety worm. I have a slide. The cloaca is the excretory and sexual junk combined in one wholesome package. It's the end of the line and the beginning of another. Waste is vented, genetic material is accepted, relief abounds. It is a posterior shopping mall with a variety of outlets, all within touching distance. Take a deep breath. If senses are unreliable, according to a tradition that began with Plato, then there is no point in observation or experience. The best experiments are thought experiments. From Latin, the cloaca is a sewer, a mutation of kleisine, which means to wash in Greek. Kleister, a term for an enema or a syringy douchey like douchey douche, jet action douche. In ancient Rome, not the Roberto Benigni Rome, but the Satyricon Rome, the Cloaca Maximus was, as you might surmise, a really big sewer system. From the get-go, the sewer was presided over the lovely goddess Cloacina, a name which roughly means the purifier. She, oddly enough, became aligned with Venus, so much so that for a while, she was at least referred to as Venus Cloacina. I like to say that. Shrines and statues were made, and people will flog themselves with myrtle branches in her honor. Is it possible that her frequent patrols of the various depths of the ancient urban digestion brought her close to witnessing illicit sensual activities of the gutter? Or maybe she foretold the thin line drawn between Western culture between beauty and filth. Whatever the case, Cloacina would become known as the goddess protector of heterosexual marriage and sexual intercourse, the bone and siren in the sewer. What made these ancients conflate waste with reproduction? Why were they one and the same? Didn't they have the taint? Were they simply observing the physiological aberrations of animals around them or imitating them? In zoological anatomy, the cloaca is the posterior opening that serves as the only such opening for the intestinal, reproductive, and urinary tracts of certain animal species. All birds and reptiles and amphibians possess this orifice, from which they excrete both urine and feces. Unlike placental animals, which possess separate orifices for ejaculation, marsupials, birds, a few separate genital tract. Most species, mammals, instead of a cloaca, features of which suggest their primitivity. Amniotes evolved past the cloaca, diverge, mammalian class would likely have this feature too. In birds, the cloaca is also referred to as the vent. Among falconers, the word vent means to defecate. This is really good. In 2000, a Belgian conceptualist named William Delvoye created a massive conceptual art sculpture, the Cloaca. 2 gourmet meals a day prepared by an on-site chef were fed into the mouth of a machine whereby various churning chambers digested the food using acids, enzymes, and agitation to produce a synthetic material that looks and smells no different from a human shit. Imagine a very rich man who plays golf, Delvoye said. He spends a massive amount of time and money just for one purpose, to put a little ball into that hole. Birds also reproduce with this organ. It's known as a cloacal kiss. Oh, I like this slide. Cloacae, few seconds. Sperm to be transferred, re-engorged prior to mating session of each species. Usually takes about a month. 1 batch of eggs. They have the ability to produce more. Males do not use the cloaca for reproduction, but It took only about 2 minutes for both of them to finish their adjustments. Jacob really was good at what he did. He returned with the sheath. I inspected it, making sure all nice little extras were in place and worked the way I expected them to. They did. I nodded and returned it to him. He bowed and wrapped it in a sort of paper they wrap in the fish market. One study has looked into birds that use their cloaca for cooling. Where the target secondary and suburban markets have strong demographic growth trends, and where competitive barriers to entry can be developed. The cloacal region is often associated with a secretory organ, a cloacal gland, which has been implicated in the scent marking behavior of some reptiles, amphibians, and monotremes. Non-integrated waste services under waste cooling. In some ways, this type of recycling. Clinging to a program where cycles are perfect, closed loops. Sex and death are not very far apart when the mind gets the riff on the cloaca. Is sewage death if it becomes fertilizer for a swamp? Single-celled asexual reproduction is simply division, the separation of 2 cells in a nice clean system that makes sense under Cloacino's watchful eye. Requiring much less energy to photocopy and multiply cells, the asexuals lack any stimulus of fresh genes. Sometimes you have to wait in your dirty genes for generations just to get a significant mutation. Hence the deep breaths of life welcome the kind dirt of variation. The monster in the cupboard having long since been vanquished, if not the impulse had been given it life in the first place, the denial of a more practical reality outside my own dreamscape. During those first few years, and the paperwork tiger growling in the cabinet above the kitchen sink served as a stand-in for my parents, teachers, and others who were using cautionary admonitions that I couldn't get away with it, and then that there would be a day of reckoning. Some turtles, especially those specialized in diving, are highly reliant on cloacal respiration during dives. They accomplish this by having a pair of accessory air bladders connected to the cloaca, which can absorb oxygen from water. Sea cucumbers are also extract oxygen from water in a pair of lungs or respiratory trees that branch off the cloaca just inside the anus. Deeper breathing through the anus eases all types of reckoning associated with getting away with it. Imagine for a minute plunging your organs into the folds of swampy jeans. The juice of regeneration. Just one anus breath away from the re-engorged reproductive system ripe for a cloacal kiss. Please now, everybody, take one deep anus breath. Ready? I'm gonna give you this is a hyperlink. That's supposed to occur earlier in the lecture, but I missed it. All right, ready? One deep anus breath. And exhale. That's why I like the cloaca. Great. Any questions?
Only once a quarter?
Once a quarter. I forgot about that one.
So you're saying there's one in February and one in April? Once a quarter?
Well, there's going to be something in February, but I think it'll be a reproduction. What was the band called again? Reproduction Fantasy Club meeting? Band show?
Sounds
That wasn't how
stupid.
you explained it earlier.
It sounds really great to me, actually.
You said it was a reproduction show, but you said the next brain exchange would be a reproduction show on February 24th. And then you said it's quarterly in the next.
Yeah. Well, yeah, how quickly you put me in these logic traps.
We see your
I'm on
Cloaca.
to you. 2 years ago, you were in this position and doing a much better job than I.
What's the hyperlink to?
The hyperlink is to, it's a really great video of a duck penis in really slow motion, looking something like this. So this is the duck ass, this is the leg, and there's the cloacal kind of area, and then there's the penis, and there's a guy's hand there holding a stick to measure it because he's a scientist. So that's the stick, that's the kind of the fuselage of the duck ass.
How long is the stick?
I didn't actually measure, but this thing just fires. It just kind of like that, and it's what it looks like. It's a really great link. You should click on it. You getting that up there on your eye knowledge?
No.
Yeah, this is, yeah. Woo.
Who put what in the sheet?
Who put what in the sheath? Oh, well, that's a very interesting question. You'd have to ask Stephen Brust, who wrote Deserve. Yeah, that's about all I can tell. But it's very helpful for research in these matters. So furthermore, the next Phantom Brain Exchange show will not be a Phantom Brain Exchange show, but it'll be a Reproduction Fantasy Club meeting. You'll see this drawing get made, along with a handful of others.
New ones.
New ones.
From everybody.
From the band.
Anybody who wants to do
Anybody who wants to be in the band just has to practice the drawing at least once,
any drug.
anytime, and then bring the drawing, bring the brain, and put it in. And then in April we'll have a show with 10 from Korea and Brownwing Overdrive from New York City, and Emily Brewster is going to lecture on arcana and lexicography. She's a lexicographer. She knows something.
What's going to happen in March?
March is going to be pretty mellow. I'm going to be enjoying myself.
Here?
I might be here. Actually, I was thinking maybe I'd show Strange Brew.
We were just
So,
talking about that.
yeah, we should watch it, eh?
Yeah.
When did you find out about the cloaca?
As a child, actually, I've been obsessed, fascinated. I haven't gotten any books about it, but I was really interested in it when I found out that they put all the junk in one in a worm.
How'd you find out?
Why?
How?
How? Science class. There it is. So, without further ado, Dachshund. Thank you for sitting through that. Yeah, Doc. Or maybe we'll have a little bit of jams from Vapor Attack, and then a little bit of Dachshund, and then a little bit of Formalog. You guys are cool.
Follow the way.